It's nice when a new prime comes along that's kind of way out there on the way that it works. The parts for this, of course, the blueprint is the Axie O2, the relic is Meso O2, the barrel is Meso T1, and the stock is Meso T2. This is one of those primes that is just next level. What were they thinking? But in a good way, because though it's mastery rank 14, this is the first, I think it's the first ever gun. Burst fire, semi-automatic, fully automatic. It has 3 different firing modes on it, hence the reason it's a mastery rank 14. Even in its fully auto mode, that's actually a pretty decent auto rifle. Same with the semis, same with the burst. This thing, compared to the normal one that is just burst fire, is just better in almost every way until you realise they've actually lowered the puncture for the prime version over the standard version. It's kind of evened out. It's got more crit, it's got more crit multiplier, it's got more status, it's got a bigger magazine. I'm actually quickly looking, where is fire rate? No, fire rate has gone down. But then you've got to remember it has semi and auto as well. This thing looks amazing. Oh, it comes with a V and 2 dashes as well. They are just, this is overkill. This weapon really is overkill. I know they wanted something to kind of go up against the, oh, is it the Latron? No? Yes? The Latron Prime here, but yeah, it doesn't do as much damage, but that only has one fire mode. The burst fire. Whereas this thing, 3 fire modes. That is nuts. And I'm also now just realizing the colours kind of match over on here, and that's the standard colours. Okay, something's got to be wrong with this. There just has to be. And before anybody goes on about builds, it depends on if you're going to build it for crit or status. Status only seems to really come into play when you put this into full auto. It's definitely more of a crit based weapon with, after using it for just a small amount of time, because let's be honest, it hasn't been out long enough to really decide on this thing that much, but its burst fire seems really good. Its semi, yeah, it's okay. But its automatic fire mode is even fully built for status. Its recoil is too high, and it's definitely better in burst fire. I really wanted to love this thing in automatic fire mode because I use auto firing weapons a lot. And, well, it didn't quite work out that much. The magazine was, it's not too small, it's just the fire rate is too high. You could build this towards the crit side. I think it was about 50% crit, and that wasn't really that much. Leaving it in burst fire or semi-automatic definitely seemed to be the way to go with this. The automatic is still useful, but definitely not a use all the time kind of situation going on there. So aiming more on the crit side of this would have to say things like, if you're leaving it in burst fire, obviously split chamber is going to come into play. So if you have a Riven for this, obviously that will differ what you do with it, but this thing needs at least 2 Vs, and if you are going to throw an element on there, a dash as well, so it's a 3 or 4 forma build easily. Again, how you set it up would depend completely upon yourself, but aiming this more towards the crit side, things like Orgon Scope are going to come in useful, Point Strike, and once you get the crit up there, this thing actually isn't that bad. Considering it's a mastery rank 14 though, did expect a lot more of this. Having all 3 fire modes, this is definitely one of those, dare I say it, gimmick based weapons. It is still a really good weapon, it's a really good all-rounder, but it just seems to work so much better in 2 of the fire modes rather than just changing between all 3. I do like the switching of this actually. It's not, instead of having a aim function, you basically have the alternate fire. You have to change it using the same button you do to block with melee. if you haven't completely changed your mouse around, and it's basically middle button click or mouse button 4 or whatever that thing's called. And when it comes to actually getting this thing, yes, I call it more of a gimmick because it has all 3 fire bases on it, or fire modes on it, but in all honesty, this thing was actually really fun to use over a lot of stuff. I would love to say a lot of stuff that's come out recently, but let's not joke about that, shall we? But it has been really fun to use, kind of worth the wait, and if it only had 2 of these fire modes, it still would have been good. The fact you can choose to use it and set it up depending on what your preferred fire mode was a huge bonus to this. And I was actually going to do the Cronin Prime first because I got that first, but this thing was way more impressive than the melee weapon was, so definitely worth getting your hands on this one. Anyway, we'll leave this off here for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch yous next time.